What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Premier Auto Detailing channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about headlight restoration. If you look at this headlight, it was just sprayed with water, and I sped this video up, but as you can see, the headlight itself is just completely clouding back up. Basically, the water is filling in all of the little scratches and leveling the surface out so it looks more clear, and then as soon as it dries, it's basically exactly the same as it was. So we're going to talk about how to fix that. So I'm starting off here sanding with 800 grit sandpaper. This headlight was pretty bad. I don't always start down at 800. Gotta kind of gauge how bad the light is. You know, this one, like I said, was pretty terrible, so we're just going to start at 800 and work our way up from there. You can see all of the yellowing coming off as I'm sanding. Basically, that is the clear coat that has failed and any contaminants that are on the light itself. If you're not very comfortable with wet sanding, you can also, and it's not a bad idea to actually mask off the area around the headlight. You can also pop the hood. It gives you a little extra gap around the top so you don't have to worry about scratching any of the paint or hitting any of the chrome trim or anything like that. You also want to make sure while you're wet sanding that you keep your sandpaper wet all the time. I have a little container of water sitting down underneath the bumper that I keep dipping the sandpaper in, and I also have some other pieces in there that are just soaking for when I am ready for them. You'll also notice while this is going on that the yellowing is kind of dissipating and it's not as deep, nasty yellow as it was. Basically, you're kind of breaking through getting to the actual plastic. While you're doing it, you'll actually be able to feel the difference and hear it as well. It won't sound as rough and scratchy. At some points it almost gets kind of like a squeaky clean kind of sound to it. You know, you'll hear a little bit of a squeak as you're sliding the sandpaper over it, but you'll definitely feel it. It just feels like it glides much smoother. Once you get to the point where you're no longer getting any yellow, just kind of a little bit of a light milky white almost kind of appearance to what you're wet sanding, you know, it's kind of getting to be time where you need to get to a less aggressive sandpaper. We want to go up in the grit, which is a finer sand. And basically at that point we're just going to sand out the marks that we put into it with the 800 grit. Here we are moving on to the 1200 grit. You can use regular sandpaper. I like these 3M sanding pads. They just have a little tiny bit of a foam interface. Kind of levels out your sanding a little bit so you don't and have any like pressure points from keeping your hand in a different position. It just levels it out a little bit. If you guys like watching videos like this and you find them helpful in some way, or you know somebody else that might, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you get notified when we put up a new video, and you can keep track of all of the new tips and tricks and all the new products coming out that we check out. You can see as it dries, it is still getting cloudy, but it's a little different. It's very consistent, it's very clear. It's just all of the micro scratches that we have in there at this point from the 1200 grit sandpaper. So the next thing we need to do is sand out the 1200 grit. In order to do that, I'm going to be using a 2000 grit, and I'm actually using it on my drill. Now you can still do this with regular sandpaper by hand. I just choose to use the drill. It kind of expedites the process a little bit, gets it done a little bit faster. Just whichever way's better for you and easier for you. And again, you still want to make sure you keep it wet during the whole process. Whether you're doing it with a drill or by hand, I think it's a good idea. I usually try to go around the outside edges a little bit first. And kind of box everything in. That way you get all of the outside edging done, and then you can just focus on going left and right, and then or up and down, and kind of a crosshatch pattern, and get all of the majority of the surface area done at once. So now that we have all the scratches out, the surface is clean, clear, we're going to go ahead and polish the plastic. I really like the Megiuar's Plastic X It's very inexpensive. I think it's $10 for a bottle. You can buy it at Harbor Freight, Amazon. I think Walmart might even sell it as well. And the one bottle will last you for a long time. I mean, you'll be able to do dozens of headlights with just the one bottle. Typically, if you're using a drill, this is going to be a little bit of a messy part of the process. You do end up with some sling all in the fenders, the hood, the surrounding areas. It does save a lot of time, and we're actually going to be detailing the outside of this car, so I'm not worried about the mess. We're going to be washing and decontaminating all of it anyway. And during all of this, the sanding and the polishing, you really don't need to put a whole lot of pressure. You really just want to let the tools and the sandpaper or the polish do its job. You don't have to push on it. It's actually almost going to be counterproductive. You're going to introduce more scratches and deeper scratches and some low spots or some high spots. So just a nice, light, equal pressure. And I'm going to go ahead and get the other side done, and we'll get the car all washed and cleaned and in the garage, and I'll show you guys how to seal it and protect it for the future. Now there's a lot of different options on how to actually seal it. I like Meguiar's headlight coating. It's really easy to use. Shake the can really well before you use it. You want to overlap about 50% of your spray. Put a decently wet coating on it to start for a first application, and then let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. After you get in about 4 or 5 minutes here, just go ahead and do a second application, and same process, just overlap your spray about 50%. If you do get it on the body panels, it will wipe off fairly quickly. Usually I'll use like a isopropyl alcohol solution or a panel prep, something like that. As long as you don't let it sit on there and cure, it's not too bad. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.